Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this. Yes, it's Jack's Horror Corner, but live. That's right. February wrap up. That's absolutely correct. And we're doing Universal Monsters sequels. Sequel month. Um, this was our first full month of the new show, the new iteration of Jack Horrorhound's House of Horrors, which is now Jack's Horror Corner. And we're doing live shows. So at the end of every month, we do a wrap up of all the videos that we've done in the previous month. So this is the February. Now I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're like, hold on, dude, it's actually March. I know, but February happened to be a very short month, and then we wanted to get a full run of episodes out for February. So we wanted at least 4. So then we did Sunday, which was 2 days ago. We released that episode, which I think was The Invisible Man Returns. Should have been. And so to get that out and then have a bit of a gap and then do the live show, we had to do it on Monday, which basically meant that we're basically doing the February wrap up on the 2nd of March. So here we are. Here we are. So welcome to the first live show. What is this about? It's just a way for us guys to contact you, to talk to you, for you guys to get a little sneak peek behind the curtains, so you see how everything works. We review and go over the movies that we did, obviously in February, in the month of February. We talk about it a little bit, get your guys' feedback, your guys' opinions, and then we're going to talk a little bit about March. So you're going to get a bit of a sneak preview of what's coming up this coming March. So that will be literally this coming Sunday. So that's like 6 days from now. So that's all the stuff you get if you tune into the live shows. At the end, Galveston will come along and just give you a little chat and maybe read some of the chats. If you do a super chat, you'll 100% will read your chat straight away and involve that in the conversation. Otherwise, we'll just kind of pick chat as and when towards the end of the episode. So that's how these are going to work for now. In the future, we are hoping that we might even do some live Jack Horrorhound's House of Horrors. For you that you don't know, that's more of our long format show where we actually do audio commentary over the movie. So we'll do like a live, almost like a live hosting of a movie. Me and Galveston, or Jack and Galveston will riff over the top of that movie, and you can tune in. We've got loads of ideas for more content, and we just want to kind of do more and release more regular shows. We'd love to do 2 a week, even more, who knows? But we need your help to do that. So if you haven't done so already, guys, please like, share, and more importantly, subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help us out. So anyway, moving on. First thing on the docket, we're just going to kind of talk around the set, because to be fair, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but as a creator, it's not very often you get the chance to kind of talk to the audience live, This is the set. This is the set. It's a much truncated. It's a truncated set. We had a lot bigger set. There's a whole backstory behind that and the reasons why. We'll get to that maybe another time. Not tonight. Not tonight. But for those of you who have always wondered, like how did this guy get a whole cavern in his spare room in his house? It's actually styrofoam. It's all styrofoam. It's all styrofoam. And yes, I've read the comments. This door does in fact open. And yes, it does in fact go to another realm. Where it leads and what's on the other side of this door, subscribe to find out for later episodes. But yeah, another thing we wanted to talk to the audience about is doing some artwork for the show. So we've had a few fans here. This one's from a girl called Robin, who's a big fan of the show. People do artwork, and we're more than happy to receive some artwork. So if you guys want to email us artwork, DM us artwork in our Instagram, all the links are going to be down below. You can email us, send us some artwork, and we'll stick it on the wall, and it's going to be there forever. We're hoping to cover the whole wall, basically, in art, in Galveston and Jack Horrorhound art. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm just going to take a quick sip of the old cap. Wet the whistle. And yeah, so the whole thing, I mean, You can't see it in this shot because I can only do a single frame. I'm new to this, you know, go easy. This is my first time, really. But it goes, this cavern set goes all the way across here. There's spikes. I can actually pull one down, 1 second. There's spikes hanging from the ceiling. I'll stick that back up there. There we go. The cavern actually goes further way back this way. It goes a little further this way, past the candelabra or whatever that's called. I don't know. Oh, web. There's loads of webbage up here. It's literally as if, look, I can actually bring this down on a web line. Look at that. That's just a bit of wood, because it is literally like it's a real set. I feel like I'm in Shelob's Lair. If anybody's a Lord of the Rings fan and a geek, I feel like I'm in Shelob's Lair. But enough about the set. Enough. We've done. I tell you one more thing I want to tell you. These are actually wax. These are wax candles. Can you believe that? But they're all digital. They're not real, folks. Sorry to shatter that illusion, but you can just turn them on and off. I'm sure most people have seen things like this. So, they're actually a godsend, because this is a little sneaky fact. I actually accidentally set the set on fire one time, and the whole thing is made out of styrofoam and hopes and dreams, and it went up like an absolute candle. And I was down under the set because, again, you've got like this kind of I know you guys can't see it, but there's a whole platform here. There's a whole desk that's made to look like a rock set, and then you can go underneath, and it's about 4 foot, 4.5 foot off the floor, so I can get under there and puppet Galveston. And I was puppeting Galveston, but obviously I'm not looking up at the set while I'm looking down at my script and puppeting Galveston. And then I looked up, and I had a real candle at the time, and it set the set on fire. Maybe that's why it's called a set. I doubt it. And so I had to jump up really super duper quick and stamp out the fire and get like a blanket and blag it. But it was a close call. It was a close call. I nearly burnt the house down. But you didn't hear that from me. So keep that under your hat. Oh, it won't come back on now. Look at that. So again, another nice thing about these live shows, got it working, is that things go wrong. It's very ad hoc. It's very off the cuff. There's no script. We're not scripting it. Not at all. Obviously, if any chats come through, any comments, like, we'll read them if we see them. But as I say, unless it's a super chat, we can't guarantee. But it's all going to be very ad hoc. So I'm going to be fiddling around with stuff. I'm going to be drinking stuff. It's a bit like a party. Anyway, sequel month. February was sequel month. So January we did Universal Monsters. And unfortunately, because my laptop died, we only got half the episodes out. So we literally only did Dracula and Frankenstein, the original. We did a bit of a like a pilot episode with the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, the first horror movie, debatable, but you know, considered to be. And so sequel month was February, and this has been our first full month of the show. So we've done 4 lots of Jack Horror Corner every Sunday. That's when the show releases, every single Sunday. And then we've done late night screen reviews as and when horror films come out. And then we do live events, live episodes to just wrap up the whole month at the end of every month. So that's what we're doing right now. So we did Bride of Frankenstein. We did The Mummy's Hand. What else did we do? We did The Invisible Man Returns. And we did Dracula's Daughter. Now, of the 4 of those, which are your favourites? That's what we want to know. So you can either put it in the chat, put it in the comments below. What is yours out of those 4? Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy's Hand, Dracula's Daughter, and The Invisible Man Returns. Now, unfortunately for me, I'm going with the obvious choice. At least I see it as obvious. It's The Bride of Frankenstein. Sorry, everyone. It's The Bride of Frankenstein. To me, that is the #1 Universal Monsters sequel. I'm going to say it's the greatest sequel of all time. I've heard the arguments. I've heard the debates. No. Now, yeah, is it campy? Do some people think it is too silly, too much of a comedy, that the monster talks? It's controversial. I get it. I get that. But I just can't help loving The Bride of Frankenstein. Okay? I just can't help it. I adore Frankenstein, the OG, one of the originators of the whole genre of horror, in a way. And Mary Shelley's novel, an absolute literary classic. I can't say the word, literary classic. We'll go with that. And then to like come up with a sequel from James Whale, again, arguably one of the greatest kind of black and white Universal directors ever, in my opinion. I absolutely adore James Whale's movies, especially the original Invisible Man. Probably my all-time favourite Universal monster is the Invisible Man, the original. But Bride of Frankenstein is definitely my favourite sequel. And I do prefer it over Frankenstein. Yep, I said it. I did say it. It's campier, sure. There's a lot of silly bits. There's a bit more comedy. The monster talks. The bride comes out of nowhere in the last 5 minutes. In case you've never seen it, you don't. The Bride of Frankenstein isn't really a character. We don't see her, the origins and her being built up. No, none of that. It's literally just the last 5 minutes of the movie. Here's the bride, and she looks incredible, and all that great stuff. But I just think it furthers the narrative. It expands the character in the universe of the Frankenstein monster. Before the Marvel movies did it, obviously, because the Universal Monsters did all this stuff, you know, all the sequels and world expansion and verses and all that stuff that we know is almost tropey now in Hollywood movies, but it all kind of came from the Universal Monsters in a sense. And this was the Bride of Frankenstein is one of the purest examples of that kind of iterations of sequels in a movie from a character, an IP, I suppose. It's kind of one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the first kind of precursors to what would come, you know, big franchises and IP and that kind of thing. So I guess we've got a lot to thank Bride of Frankenstein for. It depends on your opinion on modern Hollywood. I'm not going into that now. We'll do that another time. But I think how they expand the monster, they humanize him. I think it's the amount of pathos and heart that they put into this movie, as well as some decent kind of, for its time, bits of violence that I really appreciate about The Bride of Frankenstein, and then the mix of the comedy and the silly involved. It's just, to me, it's a more, I don't know, like, meatier movie for that reason. It's nowhere near as classic and as gothic as the original, but for me, Bride is always going to have a special place. Whenever I think of The Bride of Frankenstein, the movie, I just smile, and I can't wait to watch it again. And one scene I'll say, the last thing I'll say about Bride, because I don't want to just kind of ramble on. I mean, God forbid, right? The scene with the blind hermit, and he comes across the monster, and he can't see, obviously, and there's that scene where the hermit is looking after the monster because he's been injured, and he just prays to God over the monster, like thanking God for sending him a companion, somebody to quench to quelch his loneliness, and he's crying as he's praising God, and like he kind of hugs the monster, and then we pan over and the monster's got a tear rolling down his face, and the music swells. It gets me. It gets me every single time. And for that scene alone, I adore that. I adore this movie. So for me, of sequel month, it's always going to be Bride of Frankenstein. Close second, I think The Invisible Man Returns. Why? I guess the effects. I think the effects are really cool. They're kind of considered to be less innovative, I guess, than the original. I like, again, the kind of mix of comedy. I like the fact, as we talked about in the video, in the Invisible Man Returns Jack Horror Corner, I like how it's just about a man trying to get his life back. And again, that would be a trope that we'd see in like modern movies 100 times over. It reminds me a little bit of that movie with Will Smith, where he's like a normal guy and he gets a code or something from, I don't know, secret agency, and then they chase him down and he's just like a normal guy trying to get his life back. I can't remember what that film's called. Chat, you're going to be going mental. Put it in the comments again. I can't remember. Gene Hackman's in it. But that's it. That's all I've got. But anyway, yeah, close second for me is definitely The Invisible Man Returns. The honourable mention would go to Bride of Dracula, the Dracula's Daughter, just because, again, I like what they did with that. They made it from of the time, like a kind of feminist point of view, a woman's point of view into the Universal Monsters, whereas before it was always a man's world kind of thing. And I just really appreciate that, and I love the performance of the main actress. I'm going to look it up. I've got it here. Gloria Holden. Sorry about that. I don't have everything memorised, guys. But I love her performance in that film, and the pathos and the kind of sadness and the tragedy behind it. And again, that's not in the original Dracula movie. It's something that had to progress into the sequels. Down the road, the sequels would become campy, cheaply made, whack them out, just kind of pulp. But I think for a short period of time, the first couple of sequels, you know, for the most part, would be trying to experiment and doing different things. And I really appreciate that about at least some of the first iterations of the sequels to the original Universal monster movies. They're not all just write-offs, you know what I mean? I think that the least favourite of mine from sequel month is probably The Mummy's Hand, because that's the only one to me that feels more of just like a kind of cheap sequel in that kind of regard, whereas all the others at least are trying to do something different and adding more stuff to the mythos and the kind of universe, if you like. And again, that would come a lot later down the line with like the MCU and all that good stuff. It all started with Universal Monsters, folks. So that's my thoughts on sequel month. That's my thoughts on the 4 films that we did in February. My true, real thoughts about them. Side note, I'm going to show you some stuff. A quick side note, folks. A quick side. I can't bring the camera with me, so I'm just going to have to go and check this out. So, I'm not a big collector. I don't have loads and loads of stuff. I've got some stuff, and what I've got is good. I've got some choice merch and, you know, like signed posters and stuff. But I decided I wanted to collect a couple of masks because I'm not a big mask guy and I don't have a lot of room. This is literally my whole room is just this cavern now. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy just the set, maybe some Universal Monster masks, and I'll go with Trick or Treat Studios. So if you don't know, Trick or Treat Studios, they're not like massively high scale masks, but they're pretty good. They're not a bad likeness. They're fairly, in terms of quality, they are kind of on that kind of, they're not cheap. They're like 60, 70 pounds, 75 pounds, something like that. They're not cheap, but they're okay, but they're not like really massively detailed and expensive. But I like them because I just like that the general quality is basically on a kind of mid-level. Trick or Treat Studios line, and I'm going to start collecting them. And I'm just saying this because I don't own any other like heads or masks or props and stuff. Like, and this was one of the first ones I ever bought, and I bought this a few weeks ago. And so obviously I'm going to get all of the line from Trick or Treat Studios, and I just wanted to share everybody because maybe you wanted to buy a mask, and it's okay. It's not bad. It's not. The eyes are a bit off, and it's very green. I don't know if you can show that, but it's a forehead mask. You can put it on. I'm not going to put it on just because it's an absolute nightmare to take off because it's made out of rubber. You got the bolts, the neck bolts. You know, it's a solid purchase. I was pretty happy with that. So I just thought I'd bring that up while we were here. Also, if you are into Universal Monsters, if you're into black and white, you know, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s horror gothic movies, this is an awesome book to buy. I recommend it. I got it a couple of Christmases ago. It's called American Gothic. It's basically just an entire, I guess, encyclopedia of pretty much every single gothic horror movie, black and white horror movie ever made. And it gives you a breakdown. It gives you a little picture and a breakdown of like how it was made and everything, like the cinematographer, the sound engineer, everything. And then it gives you like a little kind of descriptor and a couple of little like stories about each film. And I get a lot of my information whenever I do like a video about a classic black and white horror film. I always go to this book, so I highly recommend it. You can get it from Amazon or anywhere like that. American Gothic, super duper cool. So if you're interested, get that. The last thing I'm going to talk about, just in terms of a sidebar, you know, sidebar in it, is just the Universal Monsters Blu-ray box set. So I bought the basic one, but you can actually get this in a coffin shape. If you're into media, physical media, which I am, I'm a massive... If I could spin the camera around, the only thing that's on the other wall behind the camera is just Blu-rays and DVDs. But this is every Universal monster movie, including Bride of Frankenstein. It even has the Spanish version of the original Dracula film. Now, the cleanups are incredible. They look absolutely stunning and beautiful, especially for how old some of these films are. It comes with a really thick booklet, which, to be fair, I don't know where it is because I've got books and things all over the place. You get your standard cards. So you get your cards as well, and there's loads of them. They're all really high quality. They're like printing on a really decent paper. Phantom of the Opera. I think it's Lon Chaney. Is it Lon Chaney? I don't know. It's the Universal Monsters launch. I've not seen it. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I've just admitted that Phantom of the Opera. I haven't actually watched it. That's one of the only original Universal Monsters I haven't seen. But it's a super duper cool box set. And again, you can get it second hand. You can get it on Amazon. The only thing I'll say about the standard edition is the box completely just fell to pieces. Like the box, and it's only been sat on my shelf. It's well watched. I watch it a lot, you know. I watched all the documentaries on it. Again, the documentaries are amazing, but the box itself just absolutely, I think the glue just went bad or something, but the box just fell to absolute pieces. But apart from that, it's the box set to have if you're into Universal Monsters. So, with all that said, folks, darn you. We're going to talk about what's coming up in March now. So March is going to be... The set is falling apart. The idea being is that every month is going to be a different theme. You guys can suggest themes. We'll take suggestions. Again, comment down below, chat, etc. I don't think there's much going on in the chat, which is fine. But you can suggest themes. So I thought, well, what's the first couple of themes just to kick off this new show? I thought Universal Monsters, then the sequel month. And then we're going to go into March. And March is going to be March of Hammer. So we're doing Hammer Horror. So we're going to do all the classic Hammer Horror movies. Okay? That's what we're doing for March. March wrap up. I'm just checking chat because I don't want to miss out just in case. No, we're okay. Horror of Dracula. That's our first one. Horror of Dracula from 1958. So we're moving from the 1930s to the 1950s. After March, April-wise, we've not made any decisions. Nothing's been put in stone. But we're going to try and do more contemporary horror stuff. We might do like the top 4 weirdest horror films, found footage films, things like that. Because we don't just want to do classics. We do want to do classics, but we also want to do weird and obscure and strange and indie movies. They can be more contemporary. We've got no problem with modern horror in this house. Absolutely no problem with modern horror. Speaking of which, go check out Cold Storage, the recent film that's just come out, Cold Storage. If you like sci-fi horror, if you like gore, if you like comedy horror, you'll like this movie. It's pretty good. Go check it out. You can check out my late night screen review video somewhere, wherever it is around here. Click on it and you can go watch the review that I did, and go watch that movie because it's really cool if you like contemporary horror. Is that all right? Awesome. Okay, we're doing well, I think. Right. Slightly unorthodox. I'll be 1 second. 1 second. Wait there. Okay, we're back. And we're back. Sorry, I had to step out for a second there. Like I say, it's very ad hoc. It's very ad hoc. I tell you what, though. Oh, I just keep finding things. What the hell's this? Little rubber guy. Put him there. I just keep finding things around the set because the set is absolutely littered with loads of props. I'm going to have to try and like reconfigure the camera so we can get better shots on. Or maybe a 2-shot camera. That'd be cool. We could do that. So yeah, March is Hammer. So we're doing Hammer Horror. I'm a massive horror fan. Christopher Lee, all the way, baby. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. And as I say, we're just going to look up suggestions for upcoming stuff. Obviously, we've got nothing in the chat. So this is the kind of segment of the show where we go into the chat and we get Galveston on to kind of read through the chat. I'll bring him on in a bit. I'll get him out. I don't know what he's up to or where he is. He's over there somewhere. I think he's like, reading a book. He likes to read. And my cup of tea has gone absolutely freezing cold because that's the way we go. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, and the light just went out. The light just died, folks. So, this is what happens on the live show. The light just blew. Oh no. Oh no, the light just blew. So what I'm going to do, I think in a moment, I'm going to wrap up the show. It's been brilliant. I've enjoyed it. As I say, this is just a small taster. Hopefully when we build a bigger audience, you know, and get more people involved, we can have more interactions and talk more about, you know, all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to think about like modern horrors and what's coming out. What are we looking forward to? I don't know. So I've heard rumours about a Dracula movie that's either been made or is being made, but I've not seen it. And I've not really heard much about it, so I don't know if anybody out there has heard anything. I've just finished Scream 7. I'm kind of okay with that not being a thing anymore, with kind of going away. Not because I hated Scream 7, it just, to me, was the weakest out of all the sequels, and it's kind of feels like it's kind of degrading, so maybe it's time to just kind of step away and kind of go, hey, we're good. We've done enough Scream, because I'm a massive Scream fan. But I went to see it the other week, and I thought it was fine. There was just lots of issues I had with it as well, and I don't know, for me, it just didn't kind of hit the mark as hard as it should have done. For saying as well that it's kind of basically meant to be like the final one, it just feels like, I don't know, the directors are kind of at their wits' end and don't really have much to say. Anyway, again, what are your thoughts on modern horror? What are your thoughts on Scream 7? What are your thoughts on Cold Storage, if you go and see it, or if you have seen it? It's on a very limited release, so go see it as soon as possible if you want to go see it at the cinema. Okay, so I'm going to say goodnight for now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Help us build our channel. It really supports us and enables us to do more of this. Hopefully on a bigger budget and the lights don't blow out. I'm really sorry about that. I'm literally in the dark right now. We'll bring Galveston in and then we'll say goodbye. So, thanks for joining us, guys. Until I see you next month for Hammer Month, stay safe, stay scared, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.